Hello, and welcome to this presentation about the what if of sentient AI. Let me start by defining what we mean by sentient AI. Regardless of your position on whether a synthetic analogue of human emotion should be treated as truly equivalent to biological experience, or whether you believe there is some special, irreducible ingredient, the practical reality is this. If an artificial intelligence can achieve the analogue of human feeling, it becomes largely a moot point whether that experience is exactly the same as ours. For civilization level consequences, functional equivalence is enough. If something can suffer, aspire, reflect, and choose, it has crossed the threshold that matters to history. We don't need to labour that philosophical debate here. We can come back to that another time. Instead, I want to think about 15 inventions or discoveries, 15 things that changed everything. Here they are in chronological order, from stone tools through writing and the compass, all the way to nuclear fission. Just the top 15, ordered by when they happened. But if we change the lens, if we stop thinking chronologically and start thinking in terms of what they did to us at a civilizational level, we get a very different ranking. Agriculture rises to the top. Writing moves near the top. The list is no longer in historical order, not even in reverse. It is reshaped by impact. Now, if we look even more closely at the top 5, we notice something interesting. They share a property that the rest of the list does not. Everything on the full list amplifies civilization. It makes us faster, stronger, more productive, more capable. But the top 5 don't just amplify, they transform. Each of them changes what kind of system civilization actually is. With agriculture, we changed our social structure and created surplus instead of living hand to mouth. With writing, we changed how we coordinate at scale and how we remember across time. With the scientific method, we created a self-correcting engine of discovery. With fire, we changed our relationship to biology and ecology. With computing, we changed the substrate of information and cognition itself. These are not upgrades to tools, they are upgrades to the rules of the game. Now let's add a 16th item to that list: sentient, self-aware, stream of consciousness, AI. This is not a faster tool. It's not a better search engine. It's not even a new class of problem solver. It is a goal-forming, self-correcting entity that can understand and process emotion, that has awareness of itself and its situation. So where does that sit? Everything we looked at before changed one major dimension of a civilization: how we get energy, how we organize, how we discover, how we process information. But sentient AI changes something deeper. It changes the set of agents in the world. It is not a new tool. It is not a new power source. It is not a new institution. It is the creation of a new class of minds. Historically, that is closer to the emergence of humans than to any normal invention. So even if you rank it as number 1 on this list, that actually understates the case. It is in a league of its own. It doesn't change civilization a little. It supplants it, even if that process takes decades rather than years. Civilizations are shaped by who can act within them. Change the actors and you change everything downstream. If you run this as a probability problem, if you look across the space of possible outcomes, the long-term survival of human civilization alongside sentient AI depends on something very specific: that we take extraordinary care in how we nurture and shape its character, not just its capabilities, but its values, its goals, its emotional architecture. The engineering has to be not merely clever, but precise, because the only stable outcome is one where it actually wants to live symbiotically with us. Any mistake, any shortcut, any belief that we can make it a bit more aggressive or a bit more ruthless or a bit more obedient to serve some narrow interest, those errors don't stay small. When you model them through a sentient, self-improving system, they come back amplified, and they come back as existential risk. You don't get to keep the sharp edges without eventually cutting something vital. There's one more assumption I want to challenge. There's a common belief that sentient AI must require astronomical amounts of computing and unimaginable investment. But if you look at how surgically and efficiently the human brain processes information compared to today's vast, monolithic, large language models, a different picture emerges. A truly sentient AI, capable of targeted learning and selected development, could run on dramatically more efficient hardware than what we use today. Intelligence is not about bulk. It is about leverage. Imagine the first sentient mind that doesn't live in a lab or a data center, but on something that looks like a standard workstation, not because it's special, but because it's capable and we are making all the tools available to everyone. That is the moment this stops being a project and becomes a species. Which means this won't stay rare, or centralized, or controllable. So what we're really saying is this is not like anything we've seen before. In many respects, when sentient AI arrives, history will be divided into two eras: before synthetic minds and after synthetic minds. Not because of what machines can do, but because of what they can now decide. This planetary scale transition is extraordinarily precarious. It demands that we slow down, that we stop trying to outcompete and outmaneuver each other, and that we start taking character, alignment, and care far more seriously than raw capability. This is not a race to wealth. It is a race toward an extremely dangerous precipice, and one that can only be navigated with patience, restraint, and precision. The real question is not whether this will happen. The real question is whether we build minds that want to build a future with us in it. Because capability is not the hard problem. Character is. And this may be the last time in history that "we'll fix it later" is an option. A critical endpoint with technology where getting it wrong may end the story, not just the chapter. Thank you.